Hi, I'm with Jase Webster, who is appearing in the upcoming thriller Iniquitous. So, Jase, I'd like to talk a little bit about you to begin with. How old are you?
29.
Where did you grow up?
Grew up in the Mornington Peninsula. Lovely sunny town called Frankston.
And where did you do training?
I originally trained at the Actors Lab in Melbourne with Peter Callis, and I've since trained in Meisner with Claire D in a professional performance program. So I'm doing that, plus some home study with Eurythmy and doing some Chekhov. So mix of a few things.
How did you get your start in the acting industry?
That's an interesting question. People have always said that I've been quite a performer. Now, knowing the difference between acting and performing now, I thought acting was performing, so I thought I'd give it a crack because I somehow just wound up at the lab, and the rest is history.
Let's talk about your character, Paul Jenner. Tell me a little bit about them. Who are they?
So Paul's a police officer, he's a detective, and he's on the other side of the law when it comes to being a police officer. Bit about Paul, he's quite a charming guy, he's quite a charmer in a sense, and he's got a thing for women. He likes to play around a bit, so he's a bit of a flirt and very, very confident in himself. He's who knows what's going to come from him, but in the actual, you never know. He's we put it this way, he's got a lot to give, and he's quite comical in a very dark way.
Tell me a little bit about his background, his backstory,
Right.
How he grew up.
Well, he grew up in a good family home, and in his late teens he started to rebel against things. He wasn't sure what the world was like, and he went down a very dark path, going against society's orders and everything like that, and he found himself inside gangs, and he was quite trusted with the gangs because he was never one to cross the line with drugs. He was very trusted in his operations, and the gangsters really had faith in him to get the job done. So to get out of the gangster ways, he went into the police force at the age of 22. And from there, he found himself on the other side of that when he realised that the police force also wasn't as cracked up as what it was meant to be.
A lot of the characters in Iniquitous are searching for something. What is Paul searching for?
Well, that's a good question. I really feel that he's searching for himself. And he keeps going back and forth between, I guess you could say, two polarities, If we look at darkness and light, he owns them both. And sometimes he gets trapped in that darkness, and then, he wants to be the good guy, and he really wants to help people, but I believe that he's jaded by the system, and he doesn't know what to do anymore because he's only known the two polarities. He's really trying to find the balance.
Does your character have any strong personality traits or characteristics?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's very certain of himself. And he's quite a behaviouralist, so he knows how to manipulate people. Even the smartest of people, he still knows how to move around them. He knows how to manipulate them to get what he wants. And other than that, he's very sure of himself, very certain. He's got a lot of confidence.
What similarities are there between your character and you?
Similarities? Well, if we look at the backstory behind Paul, he's got a bit of a history with women, and personally, he's actually once again trying to find himself in going through a lot of women. He's a womanizer, and I've got a similar past as a womanizer myself, and reforming in that area. So for me personally, it's a great character to work with because it allows me to heal parts of myself.
And what about the differences between the two?
Differences? Well, he's got a lot of certainty, and he knows how to manipulate people really well. and he can lie. So he can lie really well. I'm not very good at that. I'm not good at that at all.
What sort of preparation do you do for a role? What preparation have you done so far for your character in Iniquitous?
Okay, so far I've done a script analysis just on my character's role specifically. Then I expand upon that and then I get to go. So I do my script analysis on my character, get my head stuff out of the way first, and then I start working on the body. So I start working it into the emotional body. So I look at improving, seeing what works, what doesn't. Obviously when we get on set, we don't know what's going to happen. So I just rely on the moment. But the emotional prep work comes from script work, learning the lines, getting them down pat, really using my words and getting it into the body. And then from getting it into the body, I tend to do the emotional improvs, you know, the as-ifs and everything like that. You know, what if this happened? And, you know, preparing the before scene, the after, which I haven't done yet. I'm not up to that yet, but I've done the script stuff, the analysis, which is the heady shit. Which is the heady stuff.
We've spoken about you as an actor and about your character in the film, so let's talk about Iniquitous itself.
Yep.
Without revealing too much, what is the movie about?
Well, it's your standard hero's journey. So it goes through a roller coaster of four different people trying to find themselves, and I really believe that these 4 characters are quite the archetypes of what you would find in normal society, you know, in everyone's society. So it will reflect a lot of people's journeys, and I believe it'll captivate the majority of audiences. There'll be a part of a character that everyone will see in themselves.
What messages or lessons do you feel the audience will pick up from the film, from your character's point of view?
They could pick up any lesson. Depends on the experience that they have, it is an experience. It's a roller coaster. Any journey, you know, they'll feel it. It's pretty dark. So it takes people into the shadows, but it also takes them into their light as well.
Is there a favourite scene in the script that you're really looking forward to filming?
Not really. All of them. Let's see, because at the end of the day, I'm excited by all the scenes that I get to do myself. And I'm excited to see what comes from it in the moment. Who knows? I may hate it. But at the end of the day, it's what works, right?
If you could play any other character besides the one you were playing, which character would it be and why?
So personally for me, the role that I would ultimately like to play would be, well, I'm happy with Jenna, but Colbert would be good because, you know, he's got a lot more juice to work with, and I'm sure I could do a lot with that role. And obviously Jared as well, you know, that's a lead role. So who doesn't want to do a lead role, because there's so much more to work with. And, you know, my hat's off to Tobias. He's an amazing actor and he's going to do a great job with it.
Thank you, Jase. It's going to be great working with you.
Thanks, Brenton. Appreciate it.